record this now. Okay, it's all right. You can see the screen also.
Yeah.
Right, so that's fine. Okay, how are you keeping on?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
Yes.
Everything okay?
Okay, yes, I'm feeling much better, but I'm under a lot of treatment, but feeling much better.
Oh,
So yeah, so we will try what we can do. Okay. Um,
that's good. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah, yes. It's a bit of a worrying situation, but I think that the drugs are responding, so should be all right. Right.
Mm.
Questions. What we were doing. Did you manage to do any questions on your own, Natasha?
Of not of yours one, because remember I requested last time that I need some workings,
Yeah.
which we did in the in the class,
Yeah.
because it'd be easier for me. But I couldn't get any email from you regarding the workings. Well, I tried some from the Kaplan
Mm-hmm.
exam kit.
Okay. Okay.
So I was doing those questions. I've done a couple of them. I've studied that ABC costing as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah.
I want to look at some questions on ABC costing, which I have already sent it to you. I think we did one question the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Question number 1, we did it. So let's look at from there because I gave you the slides for ABC. So didn't I send you the answers last time for these questions? No.
No.
Okay. So after today's one, I will send you the answers also with the workings. But the workings what I do with you, it will be on the
Mm-hmm.
recorded screen.
Okay.
Yeah. The whatever I write on the board on your recording, you will find everything. You can watch that one. But in addition to that, I will try to pick up some answers, work out some answers, and send it to you. For the first 10 questions we did, I think here we did the first question the other day, activity based. Let's pick it up from the second one onwards. So this is the question that I have. In question number 1 we did. Let's look at the second question. So the following statements relates to activity-based costing. So they are given 4 statements and they are asking which statements are true. Can you look at that one and see whether we can give an answer for that one? First of all, activity-based costing can be used to identify relevant costs for short-term decision making. I think that is wrong. The activity-based will be used more for long-term decision making. It's a more accurate kind of a costing, accurate kind of a allocation of overhead. So it's not for short-term decision, it's for long-term decision. So I think number 1 is wrong. Number 2, activity-based costing cannot be used to cost services. This is a very famous examiner's question, which is wrong. Activity-based costing can be used even in the service sector. Right? So I think the last time the question in the operational case study was about hotel industry. So hotel, there are many services what they provide. You can use activity-based costing. So number 2 is also wrong. Look at number 3. Activity-based costing is a form of absorption costing, which is right. What it does is it absorbs the overheads in a different way. We don't go by the machine hours. We don't go by the labor hours. We don't go by the number of units, but we go by cost drivers, and it is a way to absorb cost. So number 3 is correct. Look at number 4. What do you think? Number 4, is it right
It's
or
correct
wrong?
as well.
Pardon?
It's correct.
It is
It's
correct.
correct.
It is correct because it is an alternative to traditional volume-based costing method. Yeah, because the traditional method was volume-based, either go by machine hours or labor hours, but we have found that to be not really good enough nowadays, and therefore the item number 3 and 4 are correct. So the answer should be D. Right?
Yep.
So that's all right. So that's the way that you will look at a theory question and see how it can be answered. So here we have a little calculation question. So a lot of information is given. We have to just pick up the information and see whether we can work out some answer. Yeah. So let's look at the information, because in this question, the OT questions, you must look at the information. It's all right. Most of the time I've seen they give a lot of unnecessary information. Look at the information, but before we think of doing anything, look at what they are asking. So here a single product company had the following results: sales 13, direct materials, all that is all right. Production for the year was 130,000 units. Company has performed an activity-based costing and has traced its overhead to the following cost pools. So they say the total overhead, 25% is for order processing, 40% for sales, salaries and research. Customer X made 400 orders during the year, required 300 hours of sales time, 100 hours of research, and sold 1,000 units during the year. Calculate the profit attributed to the customer under activity-based cost. So we have to look at for a customer X who has done 400 orders during the year, made 400, required 300 hours of sales, 100 hours of research, and they sold 1,000 units during the year. We have to find out the customer profitability. So that is our question. So we have to find out. We don't have any problem with the direct materials, direct labor. We know if it is 130,000 units, 2,600,000, we know the direct material cost per unit. We know the direct labor cost per unit. But the question will be on these fixed overheads of 1 million, how we are going to charge that. So what we know, the fixed overhead of 1 million, it will be 25% for order processing, 250,000 for order processing, 40% for sales force salaries, then 35%, that is 350,000 for research. So that's the first thing what we will have to do it. Then we have to see the orders processed, total number of orders processed is 50,000. So we know the cost driver rate per order, it is $5. Right? 250 divided by 50,000, it is $5. Then if you look at the sales force worked, hours worked, so the second one, the 400,000, it is the number of hours worked. So per hour we can find a cost driver rate, 400,000 divided by 20,000, which will give us a cost rate of 20 per hour. Then similarly, if you look at the research, 350,000 is the total cost, the total cost of research. 350 divided by 10,000 will give you a 35 per hour. So we know now our overhead cost for each of these activities. So let's look at that customer A, customer X, how many hours he requires. So customer X is making 400 orders. So 400 orders during the year, 5 per order. Customer X's order cost will be 5 into 400, which will be 2,000. So that is the cost of custom order. Can you tell me the sales hours for the product X? The custom X, what is the sales cost? What will be the sales cost for custom X for the whole year?
No, I don't know.
look at the things. The custom X requires 300 sales hours, right? Look at this one, 300 sales hours. What is the cost per sales hour? 20, correct? So 20 into 300 will be the customer X. What we are trying to find out is, for the customer X, what is my total overhead cost? So the customer X will have order processing, customer X will have sales force working for the customer X, customer X will have research work happening. So we know per order the cost is 5. How do we know that one? Total overheads are 250,000 for order processing. There are 50,000 orders processed, so 5 per order. Custom X requires 400 orders, so 5 into 400, 2,000. Is that clear for you?
No. How did you get that customers? Because I can't see the upper, the total sales. I could see only direct material cost there.
Yeah, no, I'm not looking at the direct cost. I'm looking only at the fixed overhead cost. That is what we have to go on the activity based. The 1 million, the fixed overhead cost, they say that 1 million fixed overhead cost will be allocated into three activities, 25% for order processing, 40% for sales force, 35% for research. So I only took the 1 million, Natasha. I have not gone into the direct material, direct labor yet.
Okay, so your 25%, which is 250.
250 is the total order processing cost. Total order processing cost is 250,000. Total sales force salaries is 400,000. Total research expenditure is 350,000.
So you divide it with the order processed 50,000, yeah?
Yeah, the total number of orders processed for the year is 50,000. That is the cost driver. Right? So the total overhead cost is for order processing is 250. It is driven by number of orders processed. That is the cost driver. So when you divide it by 50,000, we get per order cost of processing is $5.
Yeah.
Similarly,
and then same is the 400 as well.
400,000. There are 20,000 sales hours work. Per sales hour, 20p, $20. 400,000 divided by 20,000. Right?
400,000 divided by 20,000.
20,000.
Okay.
Yeah,
20,000
hours.
Force work. Yeah.
20,000 hours. So 20.
And the research is
yeah.
Yeah. How did you divide the research one? The 35%?
350,000 divided by 10,000. 10,000.
Oh, department hours worked. Okay.
Yeah. So what we know is, now we know the cost driver per rate per order processed is $5. Sales force per hour worked is $20. Research per hour worked is $35. Now we have to look at, for the custom X, how many orders are made during the year? 400 orders. So 5 per order. So custom X 400.
Let's multiply with the 400?
Yes, that's correct. Multiply by 400. The customer X has taken 400 orders. We know per order the cost is 5. 5 into 400, 2,000. Similarly, now you can look at the sales force time. Sales time.
It's 300, you multiply with the 20.
300 multiplied
and then 35
by 20. Exactly.
Into,
yes. So first of all, let's multiply 300 by 20, which is going to be 6,000. And the other one, 35 multiplied by 100, 3,500. Right? So the total overhead cost for this customer, what we can allocate is 11,500. So now we have to look at what is the examiner asking. Examiner is not asking the amount to be allocated as overhead. Examiner is asking profit attributable to the customer under this activity-based costing. So what we know is, this customer, when we have a 11,500 overhead cost, we can sell 1,000 units. Right? We can sell 1,000 units. So we have to find out the selling price per unit. Selling price per unit. So let's look at the figures there. Sales, we see 13 million, right? Total sales are 13 million and the total production is 130,000. So from there, we will be able to tell you the total sales value that will go for customer X. Because 13 million is for 130,000 units. So if you divide 13 million by 130,000 units, we'll get sale price per unit. Right? Sale price per unit. How much is that? 13 million divided by 130,000. 13 million divided by 130,000 will give us the sale price per unit. How much is that? $13 million divided by 130,000. 100 did you get?
100?
Yeah, 100 per unit. This customer is buying 1,000 units. So what is the total sales value? 100 into 1,000, 100,000. Correct?
Yeah.
100,000 is the sales value. Now let's look at the direct material and direct labor. We can take it straight all both together. The total cost of direct materials and direct labor is going to be 2,600, 2,600,000 plus 1.3 million. So those are what we call direct cost, 3,900,000 divided by 130,000 will give us the direct cost per unit. 3,900,000 that I took the materials and the labor cost together divided by 130,000 will give me per unit cost which is 30, right?
So is it direct material and labor cost only, yeah?
Yes, because they are the only direct costs, no? Fixed overheads we are allocating according to that allocation. The only direct costs are the direct materials and direct labor in this case because there are no variable overheads. So the direct materials and direct labor is 3,900,000 for 130,000 units of produce. So for 100, say per unit, it is $30. Correct? So when we sell 7,000 units, the direct cost is 1,000 into 30, 30,000. So 100 minus 30,000, we will have what we call a contribution. Sales minus direct cost is what we call contribution, 70,000. This is what we call the contribution. And from there, we must deduct that 11,500 to the customer A. Which will give you the profit of the customer X. The profit will be 70 times 70,000 minus 11,500, which is 58,500. Is it clear?
Is it per customer?
Per customer.
Profit.
This particular customer. It's not per customer. It is this particular customer, customer A. Where customer A is, we know that he is taking 1,000 units, but he is taking the 40 purchase orders, something, 300 the time and all that. So if you really look at this customer, you can see this customer's profit is 58,500. So this is the one purpose of activity-based costing. By going into all the details of the costing, we can find out whether the particular customer is a profitable customer or a non-profitable customer. So this customer is all right. He's giving us a contribution of making a profit of 58,500. I think we should service that customer. But when you do this, sometimes you might find a particular customer is too expensive. because he's taking too much of order processing time, too much of Salesforce salaries, and when you take all the overheads, it may not be worthwhile to service that customer if he's a loss-making customer. So this is all right. So this is the answer should be 58,000. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's look at the question number, the next one. This is a theory question, so this should be all right for you. Question number 4. Let's look at the question number 4 and see which of the following statements of activity-based costing are correct or is correct. So it's all about activity-based costing. What is correct or what? So we have to see. Let's look at the first one. Short-term variable overhead cost which trace to products using volume-related cost drivers such as machine hours or direct labor hours. Variable overheads.
Yeah.
Variable overheads. So I think as far as the variable overheads are concerned, they are basically short-term things. It can go on the volume-related. Agree? It is the long-term cost that we need to look at allocation. So I think the state number one,
wrong.
state number one is right. State number one is right. Yeah, isn't it? Because short-term variable overheads should be traced to products using volume related. All the short-term costs, we take the volume related. Variable things is always volume related. Whether it's short-term or long-term, variable means volume related. Materials, volume related. Labor, volume related. Short-term variable overheads, volume related. So I think question number, statement number 1 is right. Look at the statement number 2. Long-term variable production overhead costs are driven partly by the complexity and diversity of production work as well as by the volume of output. Fairly a complicated statement. Try to break down into little portions and look at the answer. Long-term variable production overhead. Earlier, the first part was all about the short-term variable overhead. Here it's about long-term variable production overhead driven partly by the complexity and diversity by the production work as well as by the volume of output. So you have to think very carefully on that second answer what they have given, whether you think it is right. So long-term production costs are driven partly by the complexity, diversity, as well as by the volume of work.
I think it's right.
Is it right? Is it right? I think it is right to a great extent, but not completely correct. Because if you look at many overheads, what is traditionally regarded as fixed costs vary in the long run with the volume of certain activities, but they may not vary immediately, right? And sometimes what happens is what is traditionally regarded as a fixed cost can be varying in the long term with the volume. When you want to increase the warehouse space, it will increase. So it will not increase immediately, but it will increase. So activities will vary primarily with related to the complexity and diversity of production. That's almost right, but not to the volumes all the time. When you say long-term variable production cost, the first part is correct. It is driven by complexity and diversity is correct, but not by the volumes of output all the time. Because sometimes the overhead cost will go up, will stay up to a particular production, then again it will go up. It is something like that one, the behavior. So second statement I think is not quite right. What do you think? Second statement is not right because it's right. It is right to say it is driven by complexity and diversity. But to say it is driven by the volume of output, I think is not right, the long-term variable production overhead. Because up to a point it will be fixed, then after that it will move. Look at the third one. Transactions undertaken by the support department personnel are the appropriate cost drivers for long-term variable overhead costs. What do you think of number 3? Think about your activity-based costing, what we did. Transactions undertaken by support departments, like in the early example, what we saw, purchase orders, research department, the appropriate cost drivers for long-term variable support department, the appropriate transactions, the number of transactions.
Yes, right.
Yes, that is right, isn't it? Because it's always we go by the number of transactions. Now, more number of transactions means more cost. So 3 is correct. Then the fourth one, overhead should be charged to the products on the basis of their usage of an activity. A product usage of an activity measured by the number of activities cost driver it generates. I think that is definitely right, isn't it? The fourth one, because that is what we do with the activity-based cost. So 1, 3, and 4 are the right answers. 1, 3, and 4 are the right answers. So the answer should be D, because that is what gives you the 1, 3, and 4. Right. That is the question number 4. Let's look at the question number 5. It's good because I'm most of these I'm doing is from the BPP. So it's good for you to look at the Kaplan, because then you will get a variety of questions. Yeah. So let's look at the question number 5. The following data relates to the production of a company, 3 products in period 6. Product X, Y, Z. Production and sales, machine hours, number of production runs, number of deliveries into the stores, something, all that is given. Then given are the overhead costs broken into 4 areas: machining, setup, material handling, receiving, packing, dispatch 22,500. What is the overhead cost per unit of product Y using activity-based costing? Now there you can see they are not asking you for the total cost, they are not asking for the total profit. You only have to split this overhead, the 4 items of overheads: machining, setting up, material, and packing. We have to look at the number of activities, get the cost driver per activity, then see for the product Y the total cost, and then divide it by the number of units to get the cost per unit. So one thing I want you to understand is, in P1 questions particularly, you must understand the question very, very clearly. Is he asking for the total cost of producing Y unit, or is he asking for cost per unit, or is he asking for the total cost? Is he asking overhead cost? We must be very, very clear what he's asking. So let's look at this question from that angle. So we know there are 4 overheads that is happening: 35,750 and 5,250, 17,500 and 22,500. So first thing what we have to look at is the machining. So machining will go by what is the
hours per unit.
Machine hours per unit is the cost driver, isn't it? Machine hours per unit is the cost driver. So you can see for X, it is going to be 30 into 300, right? For the X that it is going to take during this particular period, 30 into 300, 9,000 machine hours. 30 into 300 into 30. It is going to be 9,000. For the second product Y, it is going to be 2,000, correct? 200 into 10 and 150 into 10, 1,500. So the total machine hours that will be going during this period is 9,000 plus 2,000 plus 1,500, which is 12,500. Total machining cost is 35,750. divided by 12,500 will give you per machine hour cost. So 35,750 divided by 12,500 will give you per machine hour cost 286. Setup cost, no problem. It is the number of setups, isn't it? So for this period, there are number of production runs happening. For X, there are 7. Y, there are 2 runs. And for Z, there are 1 run. So that means there are 10 production runs. So if we divide it by 10, 5,250 divided by 10, it is 525 per run. Per run or per setup. Let's look at the number of materials.
Can you repeat that setup cost?
Yeah. The number of production runs. Setup is all to do with the production runs. 7, 2, and 1. It is not for unit. Now that's why you have to be careful. Number of production runs are not given per unit. Number of production run is for the entire 300 units, 7 runs. For the entire 200 units, 2 runs. For the entire 150 units, 1 run. So the machines are going to run 10 runs. Because it did not say per unit. Understand? First one they say per unit. Now can you tell me the similarly look in the other one, the materials handling. Materials handling. So materials handling is simply the material that is coming into stores. So how many activities are happening? 17,500 is the total cost, but how many X deliveries are coming? How many Y deliveries are coming? How many Z deliveries are coming? Altogether?
15, is it?
No, that is the number of deliveries to customers outside dispatch.
Okay. Number of deliveries of material into stores, you mean,
the inward, yes. I can see there again, it's a good thing what you just said, because even though we are just going by the machine hours, number 1 line, all right, number of production runs, 2nd line, all right, but now you can see the examiners confused us in the 3rd and 4th. 3rd and 4th, he has mixed up the 2 lines, but we have to be careful when you say material handling, it is inward. So inward, there are 20 plus 19 plus 1, 40. Isn't it?
40, yeah.
So 17,500 divided by 40 will give us the cost per handling. Per handling is 17,500 divided by 40, which is 437.50 per delivery. Sorry, per delivery of materials. Then we come to the next one. Now it's very simple. Packing cost, that is a outward one. Dispatch 22,500. How many packings will happen? 5, 10, 15, isn't it?
Yeah.
So 22,500 divided by 15 will give us 1,500 per delivery. So now we have got all the cost information, the overhead cost. So the question they are asking is for Y per unit. So now let's look at the Y. For the entire 200 units, what is going to cost you? Entire 200 units, what is going to cost you? Let's look at the machine hours. Machine hours for the entire 200 units, how many machine hours you will require? Machine hours required will be 10 per unit. So for 200 units, you will require 2,000 machine hours, correct? 10. So there are 200 units. So 10 into 200, 2,000 per machine hour. We know it is 286. So the total machine hour cost to produce Y 200 units will be 10 into 200 into 286. That is going to be 5,720. Per unit 10 hours. So there are 200 units, so 2,000 hours. the machine hour rate is 286, so it is 5,720. So to produce the 200 units, there are two production runs. We know production run cost is per run is 525. So there are two production runs. So that's not the number of units. It's just two production runs. So 2 into 525, 1050 will be your production cost, production run cost for 200 units. Then number of deliveries to customer, 5 deliveries for 200 units. I mean, for 200 units, 5 deliveries. Each delivery is costing how much? Each delivery is costing 400 and each delivery is costing 1,500. 1,500. So there are 5 deliveries happening. So the delivery cost will be 1,500 into 5. 7,500. Then we have the materials handling for the product Y. There are 19 materials handlings happening for the 200 units at the rate of 437.50. 19 into 437.50 is the material handling cost for the product Y. So 19 into 437.50 is 8,312.50. So the total overheads for 200 units is 5,720 the machine time, 1,050 the setup cost, then dispatch cost is 7,500, materials delivered into stores is 8,312.50, total is 22,582.50. Now this is also not the answer. If they have asked for total cost for the Y, this is the cost. But they are not asking for that one. They are asking per unit. So we have to divide it by 200 to get the answer. So 22,582.50 divided by 200 will give us the answer 112.91. So let's look at whether they have given us any answers. Yeah, they are given us answers. So the answer should be 112.91. Is it clear for you?
Yeah.
So that's the way that you go with the activity base. You have to look at exactly what the examiner is asking. Just try to do that part. Don't try to do anything more than that, because he's not asking for the X cost. He's not asking for the Z cost. So you don't need to work unnecessarily hard. Just look at the Y figures, focus on the Y and do it. And that's all you have been asked. Do that one. That's it. Okay. Next one is also a little bit of a theory question. I think you should be able to give me an answer for that one. ABC costing scheme to provide more accurate product cost than a traditional absorption costing system, which is true, we agree. Which of the following statement does not support this claim? Now this is a dirty question. When they say does not, so we have to find out the better way to find out is what is supporting that claim, because it is considered to be more accurate product cost than a traditional costing system. So look at the answers and see whether we can find out which of the following statement does support this claim. First of all, let's look at the first statement. ABC uses cost drivers to allocate overhead cost to product by cost pool. Right or wrong? That's
Yes,
what they
right.
do, isn't it? That is right. Right? So it is supporting the claim. Let's look at the B. ABC identify value-added and non-value-added activity. Do they do anything like that? ABC, do they look at value-adding, non-value-adding item?
No.
No, because we don't know. We only look at the cost and we look at the cost drive, isn't it? So we can see it is not supporting the ABC. So you have already got the answer, right? You can immediately, because you know that is the odd man actually, that is definitely odd. So we can just knock it off. But if you look at the C, ABC assigns always to each major activity, which is right. ABC uses both volume-based and non-volume-based cost drivers, which is right. So B,
right.
yeah, ABC uses both volume-based and non-volume-based. Absorption costing use only volume-based. ABC use both volume-based and non-volume-based. Remember, I told you sometimes things like in my slides I presented to you, things like intensity things. It's not the volume, but the effort that you have to put up. Now, maybe if you are say in a postal activity, a local delivery and a foreign delivery of a parcel or a letter or whatever, you can't just take the activity and absorb the overheads. Local delivery is a very simple one. So you can't go by the volume based and say local delivery 100 things, foreign delivery is 100, and therefore the cost can be equally attributable. Understand? So my slide said that it goes not only on the volume base, it goes on non-volume base, what we call intensity. Most of the time it will be volume based, but there can be certain situations, the complexity of the say if you look at something like operating theater in a hospital, right? You can't go by the number of transactions, right? Number of operations, because you may do a big heart operation, you may do a small appendicitis operation, you may do a small eye of cataract operation, same theater, and you might do a big kidney operation also. So you can't say there are 4 operations and charge the overhead cost equally, isn't it? So you don't go by the volume only, you go by many other things, but absorption costing, yes, it goes purely by volume. But over the ABC, sometimes it goes by volumes, sometimes it goes by non-volume activity. So D is also right. D is also one of the support, one it supports the statement. So what is not supported in the statement is B. It does not take it does not try to differentiate between value added and non-value added items, right?
Yeah.
7. So 7, now we should be able to do a little bit of a calculation question again. So here a company uses an activity-based costing. 3 products are manufactured, details of which are given below. Product A, product B, product C. Batch sizes are given. Machine setup per batch. Now this is a very, very important one. You must understand how it is happening. Is it per unit or is it per batch or whatever it may be? Because activity based goes into some hierarchy levels like unit based activity, batch based activity, infrastructure based, all that kind of a thing. So you must be looking on that 4 levels of activity. So here the annual machine setup cost is 150,000. Machine setup cost per unit B to the nearest 0.1. So first of all, what we have to look at is we have to find out the total setups that is going to happen. So let's look at the product A. Product A, we are going to have 80,000 units. Batch size is 100. So we can see how many batches it will come. 80,000 divided by 100.
300.
Now 80,000 divided by 100 will give us the batch, isn't it? Because the total product is 80. It is produced in 100 batches. So the number of batches will be 800. Agree? 80,000 units. Batch size is 100. So there will be to produce A, there will be 800 batches. Right? Is it clear?
Yeah.
800. So per batch, 3 setups. So for 800 batches, it will be 2,400 setups. 3 into 800. If you look at the product B, 100,000 divided by 50 is the batch size. 100,000 divided by 50 is the batch size, which is going to be how much? 100,000.
500.
Now divided by 50, no? 2,000 is the batch size. Sorry, 100,000. Sorry, 100,000. Yeah, sorry, 100,000 divided by 50. There are 2,000 batches. 2,000 batches, and the 2,000 batches will take 4 into 2,000. It will be 8,000 machine setups, correct? Similarly, if you look at the other one, 50,000 is the total production, but the batch size is 25. So there will be 2,000 batches again. 2,000 into 6, 12,000. So altogether, you can see how many batches. I mean, how many setups? 2,400 for the product A, 8,000 for the product B, 12,000 for the product C. Altogether, there will be 22,400 setups. And that 22,400 setups is going to cost us 150,000. So we can immediately find out cost per setup. 150,000 divided by 22,400 will give me cost per setup. So the cost per setup is something like 670, 669, 670 is the cost per setup. So the question that they have is the machine set cost per unit of product B. So to produce 100,000 units, the machine setup there will be to produce 100,000 units. How many machine setups are there? There will be 8,000 machine setups. One machine setup will cost 670. So 670 into 8,000 will be the total machine setup cost, and that is for 100,000 units. So we want it per unit divided by 100,000. So 670 times 8,000 divided by 100,000 should give you your answer, because that is the way that you should be looking to get the answer. So you will get something like 0.536. So to the nearest two decimals, it should be 0.54. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's...
It's just asking for product B, isn't it?
Yeah, just asking for the product B. So product B, we know there are 8,000 setups. Per setup is 670. So 670 into 8,000 for 100,000 units. So they're asking per unit, and therefore you have to divide it by 100,000 and give it. Now you can see this question, if they have given a 670 figure, that is per setup cost. It is not the per unit of product B. It is the machine setup cost. So the moment you arrive at that figure, you must not come to a conclusion. You have to see the question carefully, read the question carefully, and answer properly. Question number 8. Similar situation. Again, so here we have a company uses an activity-based costing system to attribute overhead cost to its three products. The following budget data relates: production 50,000, batch size given, material handling costs are determined by the number of batches. Again, the cost driver is number of batches have been estimated to be 6,000, 60,000 for the year. What is the cost driver rate for handling material costs? Now there you can see they are not asking for X, they are not asking for Y, they are not asking for Z. Simply you have to get the material handling cost driver rate. So what we have to say is, this is much more simpler than the question number 7. 50,000 divided by 250 will give us for the machine number, for the product X, how many batches? 50,000 divided by 250 will be 200 batches. 25,000 divided by 100 will give us how many batches? 250. 20,000 divided by 400 will give us the batches. It is 50. So this question is very simple. There are 500 batches and the total cost is 60,000. So 60,000 divided by 500 will give you my answer. It is 120 per batch. Now that question you didn't need to do anything more than that. You don't need to take the X cost, Y cost, Z cost. You only have to give the cost driver rate, and this is simply what we have to do it. So if you try to do anything more than that, it is a waste of time. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can see some questions easy. Some questions with the same data, they are asking lot of information. So you have to be very smart in these OT questions to find out exactly what it's asking. Do only that calculation, because one thing your examiner is not going to see any of your workings, so your workings are useless. It is only good for you. Mine is a bit of a theory question. It's all about the trying to identify this activity. It goes into 4 levels. What are the things what you will, so more normally all to do with uh, direct cost. It will be a kind of a unit level activity. Materials, labor, they are unit level activity. Then there are certain things what we do on a batch processing basis. Certain things, it's nothing to do with the batch, nothing to do with the unit, but it is all to do with the product sustaining. And then certain things are all facilities. There are certain things what we do to sustain the product, certain things what we do to sustain the facility. So if you look at purchase order processing cost, purchase orders are generally we take it on the basis of batch level. So here it should be A because it is batch level. Product advertising cost. Product advertising cost is something to sustain the product. So that goes according to the product sustaining activities. So it should be B. Then we have factory rent and rates. Factory rent and rates are facilities. The factory rent is a facility for your production. So answer should be C. Direct labor, simply it is unit because it's all to do with per unit the cost is moving. Direct materials, it will be per unit the cost is moving. So answer should be D. Then we have product redesign cost. Product redesign is to sustain the product and therefore it will be B. And then we have material handling cost. Again, just like in the earlier question what we saw, material handling, we do it in batches and the answer should be A. So these 4 level of activities, you must understand in the ABC hierarchy, certain activities we take it at unit levels, certain activities we take it at batch level. Anything to do with the product infrastructure, it is product sustaining. Anything to do with the facilities like property, plant, equipment, that is called facility sustaining activity. So that's something which you need to note it. I think in my note I sent you at the very beginning, I have put up all that. Yeah, put the following stages of an activity by the system in the chronological order. In other words, what they are saying is, what is your first step, what is your second step, what is your third step. So take action to adjust the capacity to match the projected supply. Determine the resources that are required to perform the organization. Estimate the product and sales volumes by individual products and customers. Estimate the demand for organizational activity. So what will be your first step if you are going to put up an activity-based budgeting system into your operation? What will be your first step? Is it to take action?
C.
C is the right one. Very good. Yes. C is the right one because first of all, you must estimate the production and sales by individual products and customers. That is one. Then second one,
I think it's A.
I think that's
No, D.
D. I think D will come second, isn't it? Because you
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
estimate the demand for organizational activities. Then you have to look at the resources availability.
Which is B.
Yeah. Then only we can
And then
take the action, isn't it?
take action.
Yeah. Then only we can take the action. So this is the way that we should go for. So I think I'll send you answers for all these 20 questions what I've done now up to this point. Maybe tomorrow I should be able to do the answers and send it to you. And there is another set of questions with you that is not BPP, but that is some mixed questions. All about marginal costing, which we want to do it. We have, that is it's all about absorption costing and marginal costing. So we can start on that one. My next subject will be, it's a theory subject. It is all about the modern manufacturing systems.
Right, okay.
Then
you know, Kumar.
Yeah.
If you know that PowerPoint.
Yes.
Last time the PowerPoint I had, it was you know, the black you know, in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened is when I was printing that off, it took the whole ink.
All right. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah. I'll try to put up a different white background and send it to you. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
please.
Yeah. Yes. I'll do that one. Yes. Yeah. I think even the next one, I think the modern manufacturing, I think it's in this thing, but I will change it and send it to you. Don't worry.
Okay. So are you sending this one to me so I can print that off and read it?
What is that?
Yeah, this topic. Are we?
Yeah,
we're not doing this.
Modern manufacturing activity-based costing. I have already sent it to you. I will send you the modern manufacturing systems. This is all about quality appraisal, cost, internal failure, external failure, that area. I'll send you the slides and then you can print it and keep it. Yes.
Yes, the one this on the board is that one we're gonna do on Monday, is it right?
This is basically the syllabus. This is the study program what I have. I can send you this one.
Oh.
This is the way that I have structured my program. I'll send you this one. Right. This is how I'm going to cover up the whole thing if you want it. So, so the first weeks we are done. The first 2 hours we will be looking at traditional costing, which we are looked at, activity based in which we are looked at. Now the next what we are going to look at is the modern manufacturing system.
Modern manufacturing
systems. Yes, okay. It's all about quality control, total quality management. That
yeah, I don't have the slide for that, do I?
Pardon?
I don't have a PowerPoint for
that. No, I will send you. I will send you that one. Yeah, I'll send. Only thing, next Monday I may not be available. Yes, I'm taking my wife to a doctor. I don't know at what time I'll be coming. How are you on Tuesday or any other day?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, just a minute.
Same time, yeah.
Yeah, shall we do Tuesday same time instead of Monday?
Okay.
So that we will meet on 13th, Tuesday, same time.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll see you on Tuesday, Natasha.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
take care.
Have a great day. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye.